We do have Mr. Nugian present with us this evening. Would you like to come forward, sir? And make yourself comfortable at the table here. And just as an introduction for you, we did receive your letter of December 14th, 2007, which I thank you for because it does explain many of the questions that we've had with respect to the status of this license. So, and just to highlight the points, you're scheduled to open the beer and wine sales on December 19th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay, and can you just give us, is there any other updates on the laundromat and?
The laundromat already check everything and should be start tomorrow also. So two units could be start tomorrow. It's the beer and wine and convenient and the laundromat. The other two Boston hair and the nail salon require the permit and license from the states. So we have to go through the state agency for approval.
Okay. Board members, questions, comments? Selectman Lamountain?
Mr. Young, when your license came up last week, of course, I had concerns because it hadn't been exercised. And when we issued the original license, it was with contingencies, and I recall the date was sometime in September. So with inactivity and this board being pretty proactive in making sure the licenses are in compliance, I couldn't see just signing it without hearing that it was going to have some activity. So understanding that you are and believing that you're going to open tomorrow, Madam Chair, you made the motion last week, and I'd like to just continue with that. We approve the license for 732 Express, Main Street.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second it.
Well, seconded. Further discussion, Selectman Coonan?
Thank you, and I think, Mr. Nguyen, that your letter really spelled out everything that you were trying to do. It's unfortunate when that there is a partner situation, you're trying to line everything up, that before you get open, that you weren't doomed for a failure beforehand. This spelled all of it out, and I do wish you the best of luck in your business in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Selectman Sad.
Yes, I'd also like to wish you the best. It's a real nice building, a good location, and I'm sure that the residents in that area will be more than happy to go into your place of business. Are you going to have is that going to be a convenience store as well as a beer and wine?
The answer is just a little bit on the size to sell some appliances for beer and wine. For example, the salted nut, and it's a little bit cheap, that's all.
Okay, so it's
not the convenience store.
So you're basically going to be catering towards the beer and wine sales.
And something for people come in and get a little bit on the cups and spoons, all that stuff.
Well, good luck to you.
That's what if you drive by, you see the lights are already up and everything's just loaded up, and a few more tomorrow and we start.
Very good. Well, we do have a motion on the floor that's been moved and seconded. I will call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
board.
for coming.
Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Town Manager's Report for December 18th. Under the heading Minutes, we have a request the board vote to approve the meeting minutes of December 4th. All were present. Pleasure of the board.
I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded. Discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries.
Under the heading of Annual Town Meeting, you will recall at last week's meeting, there was some discussion about the date for the Annual Town Meeting. Excuse me. I've discussed the matter with Town Clerk Laurier Kelly. She agrees that Wednesday, May 7th, 2008 is workable date, and she has confirmed the availability with the high school. Accordingly, I request that the Board of Selectmen set town meeting date, the annual town meeting date for Wednesday, May 7th, 2008 at 7 p.m. at the Oxford High School. Pleasure of the board.
I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Selectman Lamountain?
Mr. Sad, I know you asked that this item be held last week. Are you satisfied with?
Yes, I have no problem. It gives everybody one additional week to get budgets prepared and whatever else we have to do.
Okay. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. I was indifferent to it, and if it accommodates a colleague
Right.
and other folks to get their budgets ready, I don't have a problem with it either. Call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent.
The town charter requires that the warrant for the annual town meeting be closed 36 days before the meeting. The charter does not specify, however, how long the warrant shall be open. This is usually decided by the board. To allow ample time for the processing of zoning articles, I recommend 45 days. Therefore, I request the board vote to open the warrant on Tuesday, February 12th, and set the closing date, excuse me, for Tuesday, April 1st, 2008 at 4:30 PM. Pleasure, which is the 36 days before town meeting. Pleasure of the board?
I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, discussion. There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries.
The town manager is required by the town charter to present his budget to a combined meeting of the board and the finance committee at least 90 days before town meeting, which means that with the May 7th date, I have to make a budget report on or before February 7th. Given the Massachusetts presidential primary will be held on Tuesday, February 5th, and you will not be meeting that night, I request the board hold a joint meeting with the Finance Committee on Wednesday, February 6th, 2008, for the sole purpose of my budget presentation. Pleasure of the board.
I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
And seconded?
Moved and seconded, discussion. There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent.
And given the annual town meeting date, I'd like to remind residents that in order to participate in the annual town meeting or the annual election, they must register to vote no later than Thursday, April 17th, 2008. The town's clerk's office will be open until 8 p.m. that day for the convenience of voter registration. There is a possibility, and this is an interesting side note, that registration deadline for the election, not town meeting, might be eliminated if the legislature passes the election day registration, quote-unquote, bill. That might not take effect until November, but it'll make it a little bit more, we'll have to use more often the technology, because it's possible you could register as late as the date of the election. We'll see how that pans out. We have the Hannah Harwood Fund Scholarship. Please be advised that interested Oxford residents can apply for the Hannah Harwood Fund Scholarship. Applications are available in the Selectmen's office at the Town Hall during the month of January, that's in 2008, next month. The Town Hall is located at 325 Main Street, and the Selectmen's office is open from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. The annual $1,200 allotment is divided in half and paid in the first and second semester of school to the winning applicant, who has chosen to enter the field of medicine or some allied health field. If you have any questions, you may contact the Selectmen's office at 508-987-6027.
Madam Chair.
Selectman Lamountain.
In follow-up to this, Joe, I saw in our package on Friday that a memo did come out to us and went over to the superintendent of schools, Ernie Boss. What I noticed was that Bay Path had not been notified, and we have 137 students up there that are also Oxford residents. And I talked with our clerk and asked that Bay Path be included. I didn't, get into who goes to St. John's or the other schools, because frankly, Bay Path is a listed item on our budget. They have 130-some-odd students, or about 5% of our population, that attend that school. So in the future, Karen, when you put out the notice to superintendent for anything that has to do with Oxford residents, please make sure to include Bay Path and Dave Papani on that. Thank you.
Selectman
We still
Coonan.
have time to get this in now? Okay.
Selectman Coonan.
Thank you. This is one of my requests as well, too. The same thing Hank was saying is that Bay Path does have a very strong program in allied health. It's one of the areas that they articulate with numerous colleges with. It's a state-recognized program, so I want to make sure that those students have granted the same opportunity. And secondly, I remember when this came up, we were talking about us being the awarding party. Have we had a discussion, or will we be breaking into subcommittee to do that, or will the board itself be looking at these scholarships?
Based on our discussions, I think the way it was left, and I'll speak for myself, I was comfortable with the board receiving all of the applications and going through the criteria that we had established. If you remember, we did discuss this at, I want to say, close to a handful of meetings, and we tried to come up with an application. In fact, Selectman Coonan, you brought in a sample that we used to come up with ours, and I'm comfortable just the 5 members of the board reviewing in our packets, get all the information, and come up with a host of names or a couple of names, whoever gets the most votes, and whittle it down that way.
Right, and the reason why I say that, Jen, is, obviously with open meeting, would we have to form a subcommittee for that, or be an executive session type thing, because we're meeting for a different purpose, and that's why I raised the question.
Yeah, I can't, off the top of my head, I don't see what section of the, I don't see what section we will go into executive session on.
So I thought maybe subcommittee.
So it would be an open session, and, what we could do is rank them, and whoever gets the most points would be the person who would be the scholarship recipient. I mean, if you go through and you have a top 3, and there are, 5 members on this board, and all 5, 3 of the 5 pick the same person as the top candidate, then I would think that they would, just like we would a majority vote. I mean, I don't really see the necessity of getting into a subcommittee where I think we could handle this in open session. I mean, just, put the names out there, and there's no confidentiality issues here. There's no, there's no privileged information per se that I'm aware of.
You'd have to have a subcommittee of 2. Anything larger would be a quorum.
Yeah, see, and I don't know if that would be fair to the board.
Right, well, that's what I'm getting at. And the other thing is fair to the applicants, where you hate to see it, it's one thing I've always been open about a televised meeting. Now we're dealing with high school students for a scholarship, and we're looking at, well, I chose this one for this reason, this reason, this reason, or I chose this one for this reason, and they're probably all great candidates, and I'm sure we're going to get some excellent things. And I've sat in on scholarship meetings, and you're almost butting heads with, oh, no, this one's the best, and this one's the best, and you're going back and forth with it. And I'm sure it's not going to be a political thing. I'm not even going to say that it's even close to be political, but everyone, where people are strong about a certain candidate, and you hate to see people turn into something like this, as that politics played any type of venture in it. So I'm just a little concerned on how the board's going to go about doing this, because we do televise everything. So just something to think about, and the deadline is until April 1st that they have to be in. So maybe we can get some thoughts on how we want to proceed with awarding this to a very deserving student.
Selectman Lamont?
Well, if I can offer in some follow-up here, when we were selecting the town manager, we had 20-some-odd applicants, and at a meeting, each selectman brought forth the name of the 2 candidates that they thought best, and then it was discussed and brought forward for the interview process at the end. Maybe something like that, where I got the list of 5 or 10 candidates, here's my top 2, submit it to KC, she sees what there is, and there's these people, and those are the ones we look at again, and go from there, because I understand what you're saying, you don't want to bruise any young person's ego.
Right, actually, but also, no, and just thinking out loud on this, I believe when these come in, or when they come into us in our packet, will the names be taken off them and maybe all assigned a number? Very similar to what we did with Mr. Kravosky's piece, when those, with the drawings.
Right.
So maybe if they're assigned a number, and we have, I like number 3, you like number 6, and we can rank them in terms of numbers.
And then we don't know who we're talking about.
I'd be much more
Then it's a
comfortable with
blind,
that.
it's a blind evaluation.
That's what I want to make sure that it's blind, and that we're not saying, I like Joe Smith versus, Sally Jones.
Like Mr. Romney's Judiciary Committee there. Let's see, a state rep from Sturbridge, used to be a commandant of the state police applying for a judgeship. Wonder who that was. But we can give numbers.
Yeah.
No, I think the point's well taken. I mean, we're pretty smart about not offending and
Right, so I just
using
want to make sure we
discretion.
don't do that. So if they just give
We can
numbers.
plan it that
we'll
way.
put that through, thank you. I just want to clear that up.
We can,
Thank you.
that's a good suggestion. We'll use the number system.
Finally, just an update, on the police chief selection. I'd like to advise the board that the selection process for a new police chief continues on schedule. On your behalf, I observed the assessment center that was conducted yesterday. I'd like to say that I was quite impressed with each of the candidates that took part. Within the next 2 weeks, we will be receiving the scores in the form of a list. I will then notify the candidates that if they are interested in being chief, they will need to sign the list, just as we do with hiring an officer or promotion to sergeant. And that will be presented to you for consideration. I've checked with Labor Council, and we will be preparing packets on each of the candidates interested in the position. The packets have to remain confidential. I'd like to advise the board of that. This is information from their personnel files, and so although you have access to that information, the public in general cannot. I fully expect that you will hire a new chief in January of 2008. That's the end of my report. Thank you, Madam Chairman and board members.
Thank you. Selectman Lamountain?
Jen, I really don't have anything except to wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to all of you and your families.
Thank you. Selectman Coonan?
Thank you. Just a couple quick things. First of all, I want to congratulate our DPW, our EMS, our fire, our police department, everyone throughout these last couple of storms that logged in extra tough hours. They're out there working all hours, trying to keep our roads clear, and as always, they did a fantastic job. They're even out there today knocking back the snowbanks. As always, you do have complaints. I remember talking to a plow driver, and he felt so bad driving by, you know, and if someone just finished their driveway and plowing it back in, and they do have feelings. You have to realize that they're working long hours, endless shifts to keep these roads open, and I think you see the results. Leaving my house, going through a big difference the other morning, leaving from Oxford, and so when you hit the Leicester line, you can see the few feet where the plows turn around, and a huge difference in the road. So congratulations, and more thank you to those people for what they did, their times away from their families, to make it our safer community. Secondly, Joe, just a quick update on the town's website. Let's make sure that the minutes are continuously being posted. I think they started with it. I don't want this falling by the wayside. And also, too, just to keep us the board updated, another initiatives are going through. I think you're talking about scheduling things, or you're talking about more access, using all our technical resources, including that iNet line that went through the cable that allows offices to communicate with one another. And if we can make that information access over the website, I think we're doing a great job in informing the community what's going on. And lastly, again, from all of us, I just wish a Merry Christmas to the community, to my board members, and look for a safe and happy New Year.
Thank you. Selectman Sad?
I really don't have any requests this evening, but I would like to also get on the bandwagon. We're giving good wishes to the members of the board and the community. I'd first like to start by saying I really enjoyed this past year working with this board. We're going to approach a new year, 2008. We won't be meeting until next year, 2008. I look forward to the challenges of 2008, knowing that it's probably going to be one of the toughest years that we've faced in a decade. There's already predictions from the state that there may be some shortfalls. We had survived because of good management and good financial planning. We have survived the past several years based on the good financial management and the funding that we will be able to maintain in our stabilization accounts and other accounts that helped carry us through when other communities were in dire need of help. We read in the papers all the time about various communities having problems getting certified, having problems under funding, recognizing certain accounts, over-predicting. It's happened to a neighboring town. And we have to look ahead for some tough times, and I have to say that it's with great pleasure that I look forward to that challenge with this board, because even though we have had our disagreements politically, I think when it comes to the best interest of this community, this board has been one of the better boards that I've had the pleasure of serving with. And I mean that to each and every one of you, from the chairman all the way down to Ms. Gallant. It really has been a pleasure, and I look forward to the challenges of next year, and I wish you all a happy New Year and a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, John.
Good job, thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Sad. Well said. The only thing that I wanted to just point out was we did receive in our packets the Animal Control Officers Association of Massachusetts news bulletin for December of 2007, and I have never had the opportunity to read this literature before, but if you're an animal lover, it appears to be quite a brochure about what's happening in local communities and towns with pets and how they're keeping them safe. And there is a nice article in here, and this is why it's in our packets, from November 3rd of 2007. And there is a picture of Sheila Donahue, who is our animal control officer, and it is a nice tribute to Ziggy. And it highlights the day that we did make the dedication of the Sigmund Zig J. Barnard Memorial Animal Shelter, and when the plaque was up and it was unveiled. So we all have a copy of the brochure in our packets. There is a picture of Sheila, and I just think it's wonderful that this was circulated throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts so that the entire state could appreciate what a special person and a special man we had in Ziggy. And as Sheila pointed out that day, although Zig is no longer with us, his memorial animal shelter will stand proud as it continues to serve so many animals who are in need of special care, and he inspires us all to do that. So I just wanted to point that out. I think it's an honor to Sheila and all of her hard work in putting that day together, and it was quite a day. It was raining sideways, it was windy, but we did have a good turnout. We had members of the Oxford Police Department there, Fire Department, Board of Selectmen, and citizens at large. So congratulations again to Sheila on that. Just briefly echo the sentiments of my colleagues and wish everybody out there a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And God bless all of our troops as they're fighting overseas. And if everybody could say a prayer for them and just be grateful for everything that you have, and be safe and be smart. That's all I have. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent. We are adjourned. Thank you.